What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do a Wyckofian analysis of Tesla and break down what Wyckoff could be telling us based off how Tesla dropped in the past and whether or not the bottom is in. I'm also going to talk about some very bullish pieces of news that just came out for Tesla that could also improve the overall share price and maybe alter an initial perspective of Wyckoff. Now, before I break anything down about this, before I break down what the bullish news is for Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each valued at up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 9 days, so make sure you check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So guys, just to give you guys a very brief review of Wyckoff, it's basically a pattern that was developed many decades ago. I believe it's like over a century ago. And Wyckoff is used to basically encompass how prices end up moving for stocks. And you could actually look at these formations on very smaller time frames or even larger ones. So I want to make this very brief. Like I said before, Wyckoff was basically suggesting what a stock could end up doing, what is going on with institutions, and what their intentions could be. So looking at Tesla, we saw this thing hit its all-time high. It came down in a formation with an increase in volume, which was telling me that this was looking like a preliminary support area. We got a small bounce off of this before the downtrend basically perpetuated, leading to the selling climax. The selling climax was actually triggered with another increase in volume, right? Then we got a nice bounce. This is like the automatic reaction phase before a big sell-off all the way back around February of 2022. After the sell-off, this was resembling a sell test before we entered phase B. A nice bounce. This is starting off phase B, followed by another sell-off to this new low at the time. This would be like the sell test in phase B before a second bounce, and then the bigger sell-off taking us to the spring, right? And then this would basically tell us that phase 3 may be in, but it's not guaranteed just yet. And what could be happening is Tesla might be forming a top or getting near its top, come down for a test in the future, then continue to push up, right? This is what this could be suggesting. However, I have to note to everyone that even though it is very possible that the bottom for Tesla, the ultimate bottom is in, it is very possible because, you know, it took a lot to sell this thing off that hard from Elon Musk selling and etc. I can't promise you that. I can't promise that this is the spring. It's also possible that we could come down here, get a nice balance, and then continue to sell off and even make new lows, as there still are lots of gaps that are unfilled, and the overall state of the economy is still capricious. And I'm saying this because we can't always predict the future. All right, one thing that could have a very negative effect on Tesla would be the geopolitical tensions right now. If one country invades another, like Taiwan, if it gets invaded, I really hope that does not happen. But if it does happen, that could have a very negative effect between the United States and China, their ties, and also Tesla's ties with China, because Tesla is very close to China. Tesla needs to work very hard because their number one gigafactory right now is in China. Now, Tesla is diversifying a lot more, as they have been opening a lot more gigafactories all over the world, and we do have another one potentially coming in Mexico. So the bearish perspective would be, if something like that happens, and on top of that, the credit market in America is taking big hits, Americans are borrowing so much money, but they're struggling to pay it back, inflation is still high, right? There's still very fundamentally bearish perspectives on the stock market, and there's no guarantee that the total final bottom is in yet for the overall market. When the market gets these sell-offs, these major sell-offs, you can see it right here. This does have a tendency of dragging Tesla down. Tesla does tend to move with the market, but there have been some instances where Tesla outperformed the market and managed to hold up a lot better, meaning that we don't know if the bottom is in yet. It is possible that this was the bottom and we're never going to fall below 100, or the bottom might not be in. It really depends on so many factors. I can't really predict it. I also want to note that there are people talking about this perspective on SPY. They're bringing up the fact that we could be forming a giant head and shoulders. Once again, I don't know for sure if this is going to happen because we are lacking the true catalyst to cause us to drop to new lows as of right now. Like, we don't know what the real catalyst is yet. We still need more time to figure out what it's going to be, but that does not mean it's impossible, right? We know the economy is in a tough state because the first thing is the rate hikes have been insane. The rate hikes have been coming at a very fast rate, and it is going to lead to pain in the economy. Elon Musk himself and Cathie Wood are taking the stance that the Fed was being a little bit too aggressive, and this could actually lead to a big catastrophe in a way where Americans depending on credit are running out of stimulus. Without this stimulus, which was used to artificially pump the markets, we're actually seeing a second wave of inflation. If the Fed continues to be more hawkish, this could lead to a major, major recession. And even if it isn't like insanely major, it will likely have a negative effect on earnings. Also in China, demand is slowing down. Once again, it could have a negative effect too. So if you're a bull, we're going to find out over the next few months what's likely going to play out. Now, it is possible that the market might just pull back a little bit, then get a nice bounce and continue to break and eventually get to maybe a sideways styled market that eventually leads to all-time highs going into like early next year. That's a possibility. It is possible for that to happen. If that happens, Tesla could fly and maybe not crash, right? Tesla could just continue from here. But if you're a bear, there is one very interesting pattern I noticed, and this is something many people are talking about, and that is we do have a possible giant left shoulder, and we could have actually formed a head right here. And many believe that maybe this inflation news and a lot of the things scaring the markets, we do have PCE coming out. We have the Fed maybe giving us a 50 basis point rate hike, could lead to this developing as a head. And we might form kind of like a right shoulder like this, and an even more major sell-off going forward, right, into these much lower areas. Is this possible? Yes. Do I know this is going to happen? I really don't know if this is going to happen like this, right? We need a catalyst to push the market down like this. But if this happens, it could be very negative for Tesla. I want to make that very clear. It could actually have an effect on Tesla. I don't know if it's Tesla, Tesla is going to break to new lows or not. I really don't know if that's going to happen, but I do believe some of these gaps will get filled. So we're just going to have to wait and see. As of right now, if there isn't some major, major horrible catalyst that's that extreme and the market does not crash to new lows, it's possible that Tesla formed the bottom here. It got a nice push up, and then this thing is going to likely just retrace a bit. But this will be like the test phase from a Wyckoffean standpoint, and Tesla will be on its way to continue to rally. That's also a more keen possibility. Once again, why on earth is that possible? That's because Tesla has been getting hit with some very good news. Elon Musk mentioned that Tesla's numbers should be pretty okay. Production is going to be very awesome for them, but deliveries may be a little bit short, at least compared to production. And we don't know for sure. It depends on so many factors. But the good thing about Tesla that is fueling this narrative and making this more possible is the copious amount of bullish catalyst we have been seeing. To start us off, there was news about how Tesla had, these recalls. Since 2022, Tesla had, 21 recalls for 4 million cars, but 99% of those cars were fixed using software updates. They did not require customers to go to the dealership or replace parts, right? My point is, when Tesla has these recalls, they're not your typical recalls. They're completely different. Elon Musk put this on his Twitter page. He's making it very, very clear. On top of that, Tesla did announce a very big day for 2023 known as Investor Day that's coming up in just a little over a week. And many people believe that we're going to see some very, very nice expansion plans. That could be very bullish news that's coming out. There's also some rumors about Tesla potentially announcing a new model coming out. I don't want to make too many comments about that until it actually comes out because I don't want to hype anyone up, but it is a big possibility, right? They're going to be giving us the Master Plan 3. And I consider that some good news because this will lead to a big transition away from fossil fuels, a new plan for Tesla to continue to expand its business, They initially made this plan, I think, in like 2016, where they talked about how Tesla was going to be working on the energy sector. And that actually played out very, very well for them. That is a big part of their revenue now. It has been increasing quarter over quarter. And now we could be seeing new models coming out, new plans, something else very big. It could be very bullish news for Tesla. I also want to note that Tesla will have good news in Mexico, according to the foreign minister, because it's actually rumored. I wouldn't even say it's rumored. It seems very likely that they're going to be building another production plant in Mexico. I think it's very likely it's about to come. And I think that's very good news because there are still lots of car companies that are actually situated over there. And that's a very, very good place for these companies. We actually have a lot of headlines coming out. They actually came out yesterday that Elon Musk is going to be holding calls with the Mexican president, and it's very likely that a factory announcement is going to come, which is once again very bullish news. So I just want to make this clear, guys, okay? What does all this mean for Tesla's share price? In one of my previous videos, I mentioned that yes, we were forming a potential bearish divergence up here. This could be invalidated if Tesla breaks the short-term highs it made. But I do believe we are eventually going to see some downside. Eventually, Tesla's going to come down and fill some of these gaps. But it's not the end of the world, all right? It's not the end of the world. Whether the downside comes a little later, maybe in like a month, maybe a month and a half, or if it starts like much sooner, because we are seeing tech slow down. Tesla, however, is just still showing some decent strength. There are some technical signals telling us that Tesla's likely in a topping process, but they could be invalidated if some big announcements are made and Tesla breaks the highs it made earlier during last week. So it's more of one of those moments where we just have to see. But the bottom line is the bottom in for Tesla? We are getting hit with some very bullish news, from the new Master Plan 3 that's coming out to the new, Gigafactory that's likely going to be announced very soon. Not to mention the fact that Tesla's continuing to show some very, very awesome growth, and a lot of their Model Ys are continuing to be bought up in the United States. So the bottom line is this. I don't know, okay, exactly what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if there are going to be, more wars, other crazy things, another pandemic. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know if the bottom is in for Tesla or not. Nobody truly knows. But as long as there is not some like absolutely catastrophic event that comes out that will affect Tesla and the whole market, as long as Tesla can maintain its growth and keep giving us these bullish catalysts, I think it's very possible that the bottom could be in. Once again, I don't know for sure. This all could change depending on the news. And if the market does crash, that could have a very negative effect on Tesla. But once again, we don't know for sure. All right. As of right now, it's looking like this could have been the spring, this $100 drop that Tesla had, that dropped to about 101. And then we got a nice pop. We're going to likely come down again, maybe get a test somewhere here. I do believe Tesla is going to have a pullback soon, maybe in a month or so, maybe very, very soon. And then that could form like our first test, and then we could slowly respect an uptrend, maybe trade sideways, and then as the year goes on, see a continuation to the upside. That is very, very possible and a more bullish possibility. Now, this chart is telling us that that's very possible. The bottom is in, but at the same time, you have to remember 9 out of 10 gaps do get filled historically. Tesla still has those gaps, below 100. We have some in the 90s. We actually have a lot in the 90s and the 70s and 80s. And given the fact that it is possible that the market could still crash, it is still very possible if the catalyst ends up coming, whether a country gets invaded, whether it's the Fed that's playing a big role, whether it's stress in the financial systems, whether it's because of a massive, massive earnings recession where we start to see big, big, big hits for many companies and the bankruptcies which are still yet to be announced. All those things could change this, and it is still possible. That's why I want everyone to be prepared for anything right now. Now, as a Tesla investor, what is the best strategy? The answer is dollar cost average during those drops. Not financial advice, by the way. Dollar cost average. If you were doing it right here when it was dropping and dropping and dropping, you're just buying here and here and here and here, your average is going to be much lower. Now that it got a nice bounce, a lot of people probably made tons of money off options or not. And if this thing does end up coming down, whether new lows come or not, whether the low is already in or not, it could really happen depending on the news and different catalysts. The strategy is if you just buy shares here, then this level, then this level, you just keep doing it, keep doing it. All of these areas are very good buy zones compared to the all-time high, which I believe Tesla will break uh, pretty quickly. I would say within a year or two. I do believe Tesla could break its all-time highs within a year or two. And in that time frame, the return is going to be absolutely beautiful. So I just look at these drops as opportunities. And as of right now, I am seeing lots of bullish catalysts for Tesla coming out. Right? We have Investor Day, we have the Mexico Gigafactory possibly coming out soon. The announcement could be made, or at least for some factoring or manufacturing facility in general. We have so much coming out, guys. I'm not necessarily giving up on Tesla. Regardless of what happens, if the share price flies, I'm sure a lot of you guys were buying down here. The amount of gains to be made will be incredible. And if Tesla does come down again, if it does end up breaking the lows, if that does end up happening, if it comes down to the golden pocket, to the 0.618 retracement, to these very low levels, that's also another very good buying opportunity. It's a win-win either way, in my opinion. I'm still very bullish for Tesla long term, and I just wanted to put that out there. So for the short term, it is looking like Tesla's in a bit of a topping process, but that the bearish signals could be invalidated if Tesla breaks the previous high it made. And it is possible, depending on the news. We are getting some bullish news. So it is, in my opinion, looking like it's unlikely Tesla's about to crash. It looks more likely like it's going to at least try to hold these levels at the very least. So just be very patient. News could change very quickly. So could sentiment amongst retail investors. Just be patient and do what you have to do. Fundamentally, Tesla is still very strong, and I just wanted to put all of this out there. Thank you all for listening. I want the best for everyone, and I want everyone to be as prepared for anything as possible. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. I'm still very, very bullish on Tesla, and peace out.